Here we have verse 16 of the 11th chapter of the Gospel of Matthew. Jesus has been giving perspective on John the Baptist in response to disciples who have come and offered the question to him about whether he was the coming one or another. Jesus, of course, is building up the reputation of John and indicating to him or to them that John's reputation was well deserved, and even this question, which was somewhat challenging to Jesus, was to be understood rightly enough, because John certainly had expectations for a certain kind of Messiah, and if Jesus didn't quite fit the bill, then that was to be understood. But Jesus, of course, has given powerful endorsement to John, indicating that he's the greatest of the prophets, the subject of prophecy himself, and he's the one who, of course, paved the way for Jesus. Giving the warning at the end, the one who has ears to hear should hear, and then as if to set in contrast the bulk of those who were aware of Jesus and his ministry, he gives this interesting kind of parabolic picture here. So we have teni. This is an interrogative pronoun. It's in the dative, so it would mean who or to whom. That would be the idea. It's, of course, the dative, so it stands in that kind of indirect object grammar here, but to whom. And then homoioso. This is from homoioo, means to make a comparison, to compare one thing to another, to see the likeness between them, thus the root homo, the idea of same. So to what will I liken or compare? This is the first person singular future active indicative. It could be the subjunctive, but more likely it's the indicative here. So to what will I compare? How shall I make the comparison with respect to tein geneon? Genea is the word for generation. It's distinguished from genos. Genos can mean a race, a kind, so on. Genea always means a time-limited generation, 25 to 40 years generally, and of course it's Jesus' way of referring to that particular generation to which he was having a ministry there in the first century, and so he uses the characteristic tautein, which is the demonstrative pronoun, which refers then to that generation. To what will I compare this particular generation? And of course it's a frustrating situation, as Jesus points out, so we have homoio, a similar root to what we have here, saying that this generation is, this is an adjective, like. It is like, then estin, it is. This would be a predicate nominative then. It is like, and then to. It is likened unto, paidios, from paidia, or paidion, means a child, a little child. This is the dative plural, so it is like to, compared to children, little children. Kathemenois, this is from kathemai, the idea is sitting. Sitting oneself. It's a kind of a middle form, so sitting down. The kata, of course, suggests that. It's the word cathedral, of course, and other words come from that root, so it's like children sitting. There's a present participle, present middle in form, active in meaning, but the middle voice suggests sitting down, something like that. Little children sitting in preposition with the dative tais, agorais. Of course, agora, the word for marketplace, and agoraphobia, related word, is the idea of being afraid of a crowd, afraid of the marketplace, something like that. So they're like little children sitting in the marketplace, presumably while parents are shopping, you know, and then this is the relative pronoun, ha. It's the nominative here. It's who. Prosphonunta, from prosphoneo. Phoneo means to speak or to call. This is to call to others. The pros adds the idea of calling back and forth one to another. Of course, the idea is added here. Tois, dative heteros, to the others. Mid-sentence, we have to finish the sentence in the next verse, but of course the idea is he's likening that generation to children who will never be satisfied. No matter what is offered, it meets a negative response, and in some ways that generation would never reach a positive response with respect to Christ. Their attitude was one of continually finding fault and never recognizing the truth of what he irrefutably claimed to be.